About. We're live now on YouTube, Rumble. Ian's fired up.
So fired
X,
up. We're on
not
X,
live.
man.
Yeah, I know.
It's the 90s. We're on X.
We're on X. We're on Ecstasy, and we're on Triple X. Does X just make you think you're going to a porn site whenever you?
I mean, the ecstasy in the 90s was so good. At least in Florida, you would go. Are we allowed to talk about ecstasy on YouTube?
We are probably kicked off of every platform. I think so. I think they encourage it
because what you would do,
what
you'd want is you'd look for the pills that had little brown spots in it.
This is not advice. This is just.
No, it's not advice. This is not advice. This is a history. This is just a history of.
Yeah, they all have fentanyl in them now. Stay away. So
please
talking
stay away.
History.
No,
Good
but
evening,
what you wanted back then was the ecstasy that had heroin in it. That's what you wanted. We would call them the dirty pills.
Wow.
Yeah.
The dirty pills.
Yeah. But it wasn't enough heroin, but it was just tiny little bit.
Just a sprinkle of heroin.
Just a taste.
Just a sprinkle.
Too much heroin. I didn't always live a chaste moral life. I had a past that was not so. Was a little checkered.
Well, we all had a past, and it's what we do in the present and in the future, which we learn from that past to help become better people. And
that's right.
We start with just such a great lesson right here out of the gate with the show. What's up, D's Laughs? Let's jump in. VP what? Ear covers, and Biden gets a little pissed off. This is Propaganda Report. I am Brad Binkley, joined by Ian Covell. J.D. Vance was selected yesterday as Trump's VP pick, which not a lot of people really loved from what I saw, unless they were Lindsey Graham or establishment people. Vance is a former never Trumper who had previously referred to Trump as... Did I freeze? Can you hear me, though?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Well, we got to do the one freeze every freaking time we do a show.
So I don't really know much about J.D. Vance.
I'll be right back.
I was having dinner with a friend earlier, and he told me that J.D. Vance was a never Trumper. He didn't use those words, but... And so, I'm just starting to form an opinion. I have to admit, I'm kind of ignorant of J.D. Vance. Oh, my God, we have so much to talk about. I don't want to spoil it. But I thought that he could have picked a much better VP. Maybe, I don't know, Vivek would have been a better choice, but I don't think Vivek wants to be second in command. I think his ego's too big.
Yeah, what's interesting about Vivek is J.D. Vance has a son named Vivek.
No way.
Yeah, he's got a Hindu wife.
You fucking kidding me?
I'm serious. He's got a kid named Vivek.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So here's what I know about Vance. Former never Trumper who had previously referred to Trump as America's Hitler, who in 2016 voted for Evan McMillan, a former CIA agent, for president, and he's a guy who received $15 million from the CIA-connected Peter Thiel for his Senate campaign in 2020, and he's someone who used to be a CNN contributor, and he is who was selected as Trump's VP. Vance has also, in the past, called Trump a fraud, a moral disaster, reprehensible, cultural heroin. Speaking of heroin, he's called him another...
He's a dirty pill.
Yeah. Just sprinkle a little Trump on that ecstasy from the 90s.
Dirty Trump.
Just another opioid for middle America. And he has said that there's definitely an element of Trump's support that has a basis, that has its basis in racism. And in 2016, when Vance was a CNN contributor, he said ahead of the election that year that he was definitely not voting for Trump and that he was contemplating voting for Hillary Clinton before ultimately settling on voting for the former CIA agent, Evan McMullen. And he's also criticized Trump's response to the Charlottesville incident in 2017, tweeting at the time, "There is no moral equivalence between the anti-racist protesters in Charlottesville and the killer." I mean, this is almost like Joe Biden said this statement here with that one. He deleted that tweet and many others. And by 2020, he had switched and apparently voted for Trump, and Trump actually endorsed him during his Senate race. And when his old tweets were resurfaced in 2021, he apologized, saying that, "I did say those critical things, and I regret them, and I regret being wrong about the guy saying that Trump's many successes in office were the reason for him changing his mind on the former president. So that's what I know about him thus
Okay.
far.
All right. So I'm going to connect a couple of dots. So Trump said he's going to change his speech to a unity speech, right?
That's what he said, yeah.
Right. Sounds good. You know, I'm kind of looking forward to it. I thought that was an interesting play. But now he's also taken this, basically this CIA asset on as vice president.
Right. That's
So
what it seemed like.
it makes
I mean, he may have pulled the trigger the other day. For all we know.
well, it makes you wonder if after that was over, someone visited him in the hospital and they were like, "We missed on purpose."
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not a fan of the guy. Of course, CNN mixes praising Vance with saying he's the most radical choice. It's hard for me to believe that when he had basically the Joe Biden progressive almost positions, at least in what he said, not very long ago. And he's 39, so he's
So as a kid,
it's believed that he's around my age. So
Right.
the idea that he was just dumb a few years ago, I'm like, I didn't believe any of that stuff back then. I knew that Charlottesville, the both sides thing was being taken out of context. And this guy, he was so young and naive. He wasn't that young and that is what some people are saying. But the idea is that he's going to carry the MAGA movement forward after Trump is president. I guess if he doesn't switch his opinion again. So maybe Trump was thinking that there's never been a 6-foot president ever in history under 6 feet.
Really?
He's 5'7". They'll never kill me because they won't have a president over 6 feet, under 6 feet.
that's crazy.
He's
He's
a
never
short
been
guy.
a president under 6 feet.
Yeah, right.
What about their dick size, Brad?
Well,
Over-
that's
all
you have to
of them
you have to
over-
go to the you have to go to Only Truths to find out
Okay.
all of the dick sizes
That's
of all
what
the
we all
presidents.
want to know.
Yeah. I'm sure somebody has compiled something somewhere. Now, day 2 of the convention is going on right now. I haven't seen much of it. The last thing I saw, there was some really large guy who was speaking, and he had his like bulldog or something sitting on a giant couch next to him on stage.
Oh, that's great.
I don't have any idea why.
Yeah. I watched the Amber Rose one.
Oh yeah,
She
right.
came out.
And which people, for some reason, not people, it was that one guy from the Daily Wire who got all butthurt about her. It's what's that dude's name? You know what I'm
Matt
talking
Walsh
about?
or Ben Shapiro.
Ben
or-
Shapiro's butt buddy, the other guy.
Oh, what's his name?
The What is a Woman guy.
Is it? Yeah, Matt Walsh.
Matt Walsh. She was like,
Yeah.
she lives, basically she's not a white male, and so why is she speaking? Which I think it's fine that she speaks. I
it's
think you
fine,
want
too.
people to.
Well, I think it's fine too, and I think it's interesting who's being attracted to Trump.
Definitely.
It's just interesting.
Yeah, they were saying it was a different feel than ones of the past. And Trump came out. Did you see it when he came out and he had the thing on his ear? He had the ear pillow. Looked a little ridiculous.
I know. I know that's damn it. That was a bit I was gonna do tonight, but I didn't have time. I was gonna cover my right ear for the show.
Yeah.
But I do think we should do. People should do that as a unity statement.
In solidarity,
In
everybody
solidarity,
should have a
we
ear
should all be
pillow.
covering covering your right ear.
Of course, yeah. Yeah.
I wonder what
So-
it looks like now.
Do what?
I just wonder what it looks like now.
I do too, and if there's not a little damage to it, then there's going to
He
be a
should
lot
get
of
a
people.
golden ear to replace it.
Dude, that would be so awesome. You know what he needs to do? He needs to do like a campaign commercial with Evander Holyfield.
Yes.
And so a lot of people saw this thing on just going around on X and wherever else that was like Trump played a round of golf the morning after he got shot, which I don't know if that's true or not, but the picture that they were sharing of Trump, because I saw them saying, oh, he didn't need that ear thing when he was playing golf, but he needs it now. That picture that was circulating was from 2022. Okay, it wasn't from the other day.
Yeah, and I saw people criticizing him, saying, "Can you believe it? Some, people were killed at his rally, and he was shot, and the first thing he does is goes and plays a round of golf."
Yeah, I don't know if he played golf. That
Yeah,
I can't confirm.
But I mean, seriously though, wouldn't if that's what you do to relax? Some people might have a drink. Some people might play some golf. They just got shot at.
I know they'd say that, but they don't offer what he should be doing instead.
Right. Yeah, what should he be doing instead? Sitting in a room all by himself, thinking about why he deserved it.
And why it's his own fault.
Yeah.
Okay, so here, look at this photo from the convention. Hold on, it's a little big right now. I think this is kind of the perfect photo, actually. The convention goer. This is a screenshot from CNN's coverage. And you see right there. Look in the. What do you? As I say, what do you notice in this photo? You have the CNN journalist there in the front.
I can't see shit anymore, Brad. I don't have my glasses.
So okay, you see the guy in the background.
Where's the Jeffrey Epstein client list?
Yeah, there's a guy with a cowboy hat on, standing behind the CNN reporter, who's got his shirt unbuttoned and he has it held open, and his shirt says, "Where is the Jeffrey Epstein Clinton or client list?" That's great. I love that. I wonder how many shirts. Probably a lot of shirts like that.
I mean, wouldn't you rather hang out with someone like that than someone, with blue hair and armpit hair that says
it says don't get near me, you're raping me if you talk to me.
Like, come on.
It's not any fun.
Who's more fun? They're no fun. They're buzzkills, just like
really
Obama
is.
said. Obama said it. We have a tendency to be buzzkills, and he was right.
Well, I've been talking. Zach and I were talking about that the other day about how we experienced that firsthand at the Woodstock Festival when everybody was fun except for the Democrats.
So Josh and I were on our way to do a comedy show when you texted me that Trump got shot. So I'm sitting in the middle of traffic and I'm like, "What the fuck? I need more information." So I get over to Josh's, and when we got together, we were both like, "Man, that theater would be shut down tonight if this assassination attempt had been on Joe Biden." They would be like,
"What theater was it? The Badonkadonk or whatever?"
It was the former Village Theater. Yeah, I don't think it's called the Badonkadonk.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about Limelight.
Yeah, Limelight.
So how was everybody? All those progressives?
Well, I mentioned it to one, and he laughed. Yeah, I go, "Did you see the president got shot?" He went, "Yeah." That was his first reaction. It's interesting. Like I hate Joe Biden. Absolutely loathe him. Wouldn't want to see him dead.
I'm the same way. I don't want to see anything happen.
I wouldn't want to see him get hurt. I'm starting to feel a little bad for him because it's kind of like when your enemy is so down and out. It's like, this is no fun to defeat you anymore.
It really. So I have some clips from that interview that he did. People have kind of not moved on. They've kind of for a little bit suspended the talk of replacing him, but it doesn't change that he's still, every interview he does is just he's just so ridiculously not there and a dementia patient, and they've actually started talking again about ways to replace him. It's just
no one, not a single fucking Democrat is going to step in and run against that photo.
Yeah, right.
They're not gonna.
And that's an argument. So they're saying some of the Democrats have just reserved that we're going to lose this election.
Oh, they're still cheat and win.
Right.
But there's no way they're going to actually win.
And that is what I worry about. Is they're in my opinion, if we accept what we've seen at face value, and a lot of things aren't at face value. I understand that.
Correct.
But operating on that premise,
then
simulation. They're not going to do all of these things with messing with the election and indicting Trump over all of these empty charges that is clearly a lawfare, and then get to a point of him getting an assassination attempt and then just say, "Well, that didn't work. Guess we'll give up."
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. No, they're gonna try something again. It'll be a plane crash, a car crash.
That's what
my friend said. A heart attack.
It could be something slipped in his drink. President J.D. Vance suddenly switches back to his Hillary Biden
Yeah, he takes off his
position.
mask. He takes off his mask. Hillary Clinton.
It is Hillary Clinton. And then it's like, well, under the Constitution, if you are one person when you're named VP, it doesn't matter if you pull your face off.
Yeah, Scooby Doo rules.
It might as well be
Yeah.
at this point. All right. Hold on. All right, got that. So, a couple updates on the assassination attempt or alleged assassination attempt. I know people have different views on all of that, but this is what is being reported last night and today. The FBI has unlocked the phone of the alleged suspect who is dead, so it can't really interrogate that guy.
Who was his cell phone carrier? Was he an AT&T or a T-Mobile guy? I need
think
to know.
It didn't say. It said that
Okay.
they wouldn't say what kind of phone he had
iPhone? No
in the
Samsung?
article.
We don't know? Okay.
But the only reason that this interests me, this article, is because the story is an Axios article, said that they don't know yet how the FBI unlocked his phone, but that after Apple refused to help them unlock a terror suspect's phone back in 2016, they have since figured out alternative ways to crack both iPhone and Android encryptions without the help of Apple or whoever. And it then said it's actually easier than most people realize for the FBI to break the encryption on their phone. So that's just a comforting thought. Now, like, what's the point of the encryption? I kind of wonder if maybe like after they shot this guy, if they're like, why'd you have to blow his face all the way off? We could have done the facial scan to get this thing open. You know, there's this guy's face torn into pieces, and they're just holding the phone over his head.
Trying to get the right angle. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I wonder if you can put a picture of somebody in front of your phone. I'm going to try that, see if it
You might be able to.
opens. Of course, people don't have actual hard copies, pictures anymore. But the FBI also said that they've received hundreds of digital media tips, which include photos and videos taken at the scene that they're currently reviewing, which I expect all of those to be deleted and those devices to be destroyed.
Oh, that's why they're collecting them. They're like, let's get all delete.
Well, of course. Yeah. So people are like, where are all the photos from the cell phone footage and stuff? They confiscated all of those. That all becomes evidence when that happens. Just like when people are like, well, why didn't everybody run and just leave? Because it's a crime scene and they're not going to let them leave because they're all witnesses.
Right.
It's not as simple as people who are talking, have theories online. I don't mind the theories. And I'm going to talk about that towards the end of the show a bit. But like just the first conclusion that you come to, in my opinion, if you're just certain 100% that is it, then everything that you view, regardless of what you believe one way or another, is just you're either going to ignore it because it doesn't jive with the first conclusion, or your confirmation bias. You're just going to look for things that satisfy that. And I don't think that's a good way to investigate anything, especially when emotions are involved. Update number 2 is it was reported earlier that the suspect, Thomas Matthew Crooks, always the 3 names they give, that he was seen near a secure area at the rally where, when you enter, you have to go through this thing to make sure you don't have any weapons.
I heard this.
They don't even let you bring water in. They didn't let me and Josh bring water in when we went to speech. And they flagged him as someone. Do what?
Could be a water bomb.
Like it could be some sort of chemical that looked like
you stick
water.
a fuse in that bottle of water.
Right.
It could kill somebody.
Yeah, exactly. It could be alcohol you throw in his mouth. He never drinks it.
Get him drunk real quick.
Hammered, totally hammered. But they flagged him as someone to keep an eye on after security noticed he was holding a rangefinder that snipers carry, not a gun. That guy's got a rangefinder. That's weird. Where's his gun? And so then he left the area and he was gone. But snipers later, shortly before they say he pulled the trigger, they say, the snipers we saw on the roof, that they saw him looking at them. It's like they made eye contact through the rangefinder before he pulled the trigger, is what is being reported today. And they also found 2 or 3 IEDs. No, 2 remote controlled IED bombs were found inside his car, and the remote detonator was found on his person when he was killed. And he had 3 fully loaded mags in his car, and he had a bulletproof vest. And these things were probably, in my opinion, all given to him by the online covert employee from the FBI who radicalized him, probably on like Discord, or something like that.
Sure.
And he also had 50 rounds of ammo, and
But Brad, he was a Republican.
yeah, no, he's
He was a
definitely
registered Republican. So
no, he was trying to shoot the media, and he just missed badly.
He missed the
He missed
media.
very, very badly. Yeah, right. Was that the? Let's make sure I got the correct update there. All right. Also, another update is that he was seen 30 minutes before the shooting, a couple of times. Not the people who saw them that were in the crowd, but he was seen one time on the ground taking a photo of something by a local police officer, and a second time on the rooftop by the Beaver County Emergency Services Unit. And they both called him a suspicious person. And then the article says, for some reason, it's not yet clear whom they told about the suspicious person. How do you know they called? Yeah, we just called him a suspicious person. We were talking to ourselves. How do you not follow up on that question?
exactly. I mean, they found him on a rooftop. Why wouldn't you say, "Hey, officer, you know someone's up there on that rooftop"?
Oh, a suspicious person.
Yeah,
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, so stupid.
It doesn't make any sense. And the fourth update is they had the interview with the Secret Service director, Kimberly Cheadle. Was that her name?
Yeah,
It's a weird
Cheadle.
name.
She's Don Cheadle's. She's related to Don
Yeah, Don Cheadle's, but yeah,
sister.
she's
Don Cheadle's.
his sister's white sister. Blamed a dangerous slope on the roof for why they didn't have any law enforcement up there. And she said that building in particular has a sloped roof at its highest point. And so, there's a safety factor that would be considered that he wouldn't want to put somebody up on a sloped roof. And so, the decision was made to secure the building from the inside, which I guess they learned doesn't work. If only they had a look up as opposed to a look out and a transparent roof, then perhaps it's just stupid. Doesn't make sense. There's some definite deception and unanswered questions going on here, in my opinion.
I definitely feel like this was a message from the deep state that they don't want Donald Trump running for president.
It was
pretty obvious to me.
That, and definitely some cultural, just the environment of conflict.
Oh, yeah.
And the threat. I think I did see a study that Reuters was reporting on, and whether it's true or not, it was like 75% of people are worried that violence is going to spin into chaos or something like that, which is they probably just phrased the question in a weird way and did a sliding scale. I'm going to show you another picture that Dana sent me earlier about the election. Yeah, this is pretty funny right here. This has been a lot of memes. Always the memes are always hot.
They are, man. They are.
Here we go.
They make me chuckle over coffee in the morning. I do love my morning memes.
So there you go. You see that photo there? It's got a picture of the building with one of those like used car lot balloon people waving at the top trying to get attention, and then there's a big arrow that's lit up that says sniper here, and then look, and green arrow, and then there's another arrow on the building pointing up that says bad guy, and then you got a Secret Service agent with his back to the building talking into his wrist communicator. It says all clear over on the north end.
So funny.
That's how ridiculous it is.
That's so funny. That's a good one.
It's very ridiculous. We got a comment here about J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance is tied. Yes, he's tied to Peter Thiel, and said he might help with the CBDC currency 2030 agenda. That's definitely possible. I wonder if he's going to be at the Bitcoin conference with Trump. Trump's going to be speaking at the Bitcoin conference in a couple of weeks. Yeah, I know at least people in the alternative or the independent community and libertarian community, it was a real buzzkill for some of them when they saw that Vance was picked. But as Zach said, it could have been worse. I mean, we could have Lady Lindsey Graham up there sucking everybody's D out in the open. Nobody wants that.
No, nobody wants to see that. I mean, we do want to see him dressed like a lady, wearing fishnets and smoking out of a cigarette with a cigarette holder.
Yeah,
long cigarette holders.
Of course.
Pearl necklace.
Just everything. God, he's the worst, dude. And the fact that Graham put that stupid picture of him and Vance like they were about to bang in the limo
Do you think?
doesn't
do you
really
think-
help.
Do you think Lindsey Graham has taken a shower with Joe Biden?
I think Lindsey Graham's taken a shower with everybody who's been on Capitol Hill almost. And
Yeah.
Lindsey Graham is dressed as Joe Biden's daughter.
Yeah.
He shows up to the White House still dressed as Joe Biden's 13-year-old daughter, and they shower every day.
Yeah.
Only Dave says in the chats, I would not blame Trump one bit if he got on camera and said, fuck all y'all. I was trying to help. I'm going to play golf and be with my family, throw up the finger and walk away. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't blame him either.
Yeah.
It's not an enviable job to be in politics. I don't know why anybody would honestly really
Because
do it.
he'll go to jail if he doesn't. He's only running for president to stay out of jail.
Right. It's just it's a dumb. That's what probably those people you guys were doing the improv show with. What up, Steve? We're saying
If they only knew. If they only knew that they had a great time at the show. And it's kind of, if they only knew how
Well,
Josh
I-
and I really felt.
I texted you guys about how our other friend was like, remember Josh when so and so ended that improv show by assassinating Trump? And some people in the crowd were celebrating, but others were kind of like, that was a bit too far.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's their blind spot for sure.
Yeah, totally. And in the aftermath of all of this, the FBI is warning of possible retaliation.
Oh, the FBI wants to retaliate?
Yeah, they want to retaliate on themselves for organizing.
They're so pissed at themselves.
Yeah,
a little self-retaliation.
Yeah. Which is like, how is it? They release these memos all the time, or what do they call them?
Yeah, retaliations. Where are
The bulletins.
Look, where are the right-wing Christian nationalists when you need them? They're
Yeah,
never around a flagpole when Hamas supporters are trying to take the flag down.
They're
Where are they? They're
committing
never around.
racism somewhere.
They're committing racism, probably in the back of a restaurant somewhere, in the back of by a dumpster.
There's like 3 white Christian nationalists in the country.
Yeah, where are they? Where
the
are they
biggest
when
threat.
Trump needs them?
It's
There's
right,
never there.
right. Yeah, totally. They're going to retaliate.
Yeah.
But this is usually the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security release separate bulletins. But this was a rare joint bulletin that they released, warning about the possibility of retaliation attacks to what happened. They said that violent extremists or others may attempt to follow on or retaliatory attacks of violence in response to the attempted assassination of Trump, the bulletin says. Because, clearly it's Trump supporters who are the violent ones. This is what they've been saying about MAGA people and people who don't agree with the narrative.
They bring it on themselves.
It's their fault, but
It's
they've
their
been
fault. But
calling
yeah,
them domestic terrorists
I know.
since
And they've
2021.
they've never done any domestic terrorism. I've never seen a bunch of people in MAGA hats run up and grab a Democrat politician and start beating them up.
They want him to, though. They want to manifest that reality, and they try to provoke him, which I that's why people mock the some people love the fist like that Trump put up there, and others mock it because they believe the thing was staged. But I'll tell you this: him doing that prevented probably some other incidents happening, because if there's uncertainty, especially in that group there, about whether or not he's okay, there's going to be some anxiety that is going to get released somewhere. And when Trump did that, you can see behind him, there is a guy who, when they knew he was okay, just starts like going, like he's releasing all this energy of he's okay, that energy might have been charged into, I don't know, media people, that people turned around, said, F you, report the truth.
That's a good point, Brad. That's a really, really excellent point. I didn't even consider, you're right though, but if I play that scenario out, if they had just dragged him off and nobody was certain that he was okay, that crowd, you're right, it would have turned into everything the media ever wanted.
Potentially, yeah. And that, that was a little bit of assurance that they need. I mean, like I watched it a few times, just watching that. I mean, it's a visceral reaction of people in the background. It's also sad to watch it when you know that there was somebody who died.
Oh yeah, for sure.
A few rows
I
over.
had one of my liberal friends called him a magatard. That guy was a magatard. because his wife didn't want to take Joe Biden's phone call. She's
I
like,
did.
see,
I
they're
saw
all
that.
they're all hateful. They're all hateful magatards.
Right. So they're like tone
I'm
down
like-
the rhetoric of violence. How dare you accuse the media and Biden,
I was like,
who literally called him Hitler
Yeah.
for 10 years?
He's like, what's so heroic about attending a Trump rally and getting shot? I was like, well, doing it to save your family was the hero part.
Totally.
You know?
It is a bit strange.
It's bizarre. I'm loving it though. I'm loving hearing it. I'm letting all my liberal friends talk, and I'm just gonna remind them. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. The fact that he chose Vance, though, because calling somebody, creating this environment where you got to stop this Hitler figure, or else democracy and everything is destroyed, and then having somebody who referred to you as a potential American Hitler as your VP, it's a bit. It's a
I
bit
didn't even
odd.
know he was on the short list. Wasn't he? Isn't he kind
No,
of
he's
like
he's 5'6", I think.
so he's on the very short list.
very short list. Yeah. No, he was on and off the short lists, and I don't.
I can't really joke about short stuff. I'm just barely over 5'8", so I'm 5'8".
Well, you're taller than JD. You're taller than
Yeah,
the vice
taller-
president.
I'm
of
taller
the
than the
United
vice
States.
president, yeah.
We can. A lot of us can say that now.
Yeah.
So that's something maybe this to make all the men feel good.
You're 5'10".
Yeah. What? You're taller than the VP.
You fucking taller than
People,
VP,
people are
dude.
gonna change their dating profiles taller than the VP.
Oh my gosh.
All right. So I do want to play some of those clips. We
Little
might have
Marco Rubio.
You,
Little
you
Marco.
spent too much time in the phone parties, Marco Rubio. I don't want to get boofed when I'm not looking. All right, I've already been shot in the ear. I don't want to get one in the butt. This story out of the Wall Street Journal. I don't think this thing was staged completely. And I know that there's some people that do.
Mm-hmm.
However, I support people in questioning it.
Sure.
I think this should be questioned, just like everything else should be questioned.
Tons of questions.
And I have no problem with people speculating about those theories.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think that we should normalize being a critical and skeptical of everything we see on television and that we hear from the news, because the way that modern politics works and is that they lie to us and they manipulate us in many ways with publicity stunts and just blatantly lying in the news. And absolutely, there has been certain times where there have been staged events. There's no doubt about that.
Sure.
So I think that we'd be a healthier society if we normalized questioning even things that seem abundantly obviously true to us, because the more both sides do that and agree that that's an okay thing to do, instead of getting mad when one side does it and then when it's flipped, getting mad when the other side does it. If this would have happened to Biden, a lot of people who are not questioning it now would be questioning it, I believe.
Dude, it would have been a completely different response as well, which is
I mean, Biden wouldn't have stood up and would have
Biden would have died. If it just grazed his ear, that would have been enough to take him out.
absolutely.
That in the fall would have broken his hip.
Yeah,
He'd be out of commission.
No more showers.
Kamala would be running.
with Lindsey Graham.
No
Yeah.
more shower. He'd have to have a shower chair.
Yeah.
A little
But,
shower chair, you
lap
could do
dancing Lindsey.
Yeah.
It might have actually worked for him. But you're right. It would have been different for the way he bounced back. But I also think that people would have questioned whether it was staged or real or not, who right now are saying, how dare people question if it's staged or real? I don't think it was staged, because the evidence that I've seen presented, none of it's good. All of it, even though it's presented confidently and as though there's no other way to explain it, there's actually pretty obvious ways to explain some of the evidence. I'll just give you one example that comes to mind. I don't want to go too deep into this, because I do support the questioning of it, always do. And I am open to evidence, always. If I see good evidence, absolutely. But I need good evidence. I don't need just the first conclusion because I see the first conclusion that some people come to that, it's definitely staged because everything is always staged, or Trump did WWE one time and knows about blood packs, therefore it must be staged.
Sure.
Okay. Now, if you show me evidence of a blood pack or something, which I haven't, I've seen people circle things on his ear. I'm like that. You've literally just circled a random spot and shown. I need evidence I can present in a court of law. That's my standard for this type of thing, regardless of what it is. But I've seen arguments where it's, well, there was people in the background who were holding "you're fired" signs, and that was some sort of subliminal or just explicit signal to the shooter, and therefore it signals this thing was staged in some way. And I'm like, there's been people holding those signs.
As
Joe
someone,
Biden, you're fired, since he started campaigning. This is the most easy thing to verify.
Yeah, and as someone who has been involved in hundreds of stage productions, right? You know, as far as each night you get what I'm saying. I've been on stage hundreds of times. I've been involved in technical productions.
I mean, thousands of times.
Sure, and I you know, I've been involved in tech. This is very difficult to do, and it's outside adds an element that makes it nearly impossible to pull something like this off.
And that, yes,
because it's outside,
and it's so hard. So many now. Witnesses there can also be deceived. I thought about it. I was thinking, could I pull this off? Like, do I think I could do that kind of acting job? And
no.
That, and I don't. Maybe Trump is just such a great actor.
And to get all the secret I mean, no, because you and I know how you've worked with. They actually were about as good as extras, so I don't want to go down that road.
Right.
I almost call them the Social Security service.
Yeah, the dude in the background, like Zach says, like that's another theory. People zoom in on a photo of somebody in the background. Look at the guy with the crazy hair. That's JFK Jr. Or look at this woman. Why is she holding her phone like this? Or why isn't that person ducking this way?
You're not looking at the totality of things.
These are judgments on how people who weren't there would react in a situation they've never been in. They don't know what anything like that environment would be like. And I'm okay. I am certainly okay with those questions because I look at things like that too, and I do wonder. Well, I wonder why that person had a different reaction to other people in the crowd, and I formulate more questions about it. But simply wondering or seeing somebody do something different than you think you would do, or that you believe might be the normal reaction, is not evidence to draw a conclusion from. And I feel like jumping to conclusions about conspiracies, regardless of which side it is ever, is what enables the other side to demonize you and do stories like this one in the like the one here in the Wall Street Journal, which is bad for everybody, where it says quarantining the conspiracy swamps. The conspiracists on the right and left deserve to be ostracized, and they want to silence them.
Yeah. Now they want to ostracize the ones on the left, which is hilarious. Now they're going to...
Of course, right. They are now the white nationalist racists, which what conspiracies were. But that's my point in all of this. I am absolutely a conspiracy theorist, and I am always open to evidence, but I oppose simply always believing something is staged because you just know it is, and not providing like legit evidence that hasn't considered alternatives, because that is making everybody look bad if you're wrong, and it's giving them a reason to silence all of us. And we saw people on Face the Nation, I can't remember which lawmaker it was, already saying we demand the social media platforms to be very careful about what type of speech they allow on their platforms leading up to the election. It's going to get us all silenced unless we're reasonable and we challenge, like I said, instead of satisfying the confirmation bias of the first conclusion we drew, because we always believe that, if we challenge our own beliefs harder than the opposition would.
Because their instincts are right. Anyone who thinks your instincts are right, you're just not looking in the right area. If you want to use the word staged, how about set up? Because that's what this was. It's obviously that's where the conspiracy is.
Well, that's the conflict in between. There's people who believe the setup theory, that it was allowed to happen, but then there's people who believe it was fully staged and Trump was in on it.
Again, being outside, it just adds a dynamic to. There's so many it's not as controlled.
It's a difficult way. Yes,
it would be very, very difficult to pull that off.
Here's the basic theory that I've seen it. And I haven't seen enough evidence to convince me. Like I said, I'm open to it, though. I'm not somebody who's saying you shouldn't ask those questions.
You need to go show me that firefighter is still alive as well.
Yes.
That's one of the other things you need to do.
That is one of the theories. Is they didn't show us video of that guy getting shot. Another one is
well,
when
we can
Trump,
go to his funeral. It's going to be
yeah, you got to go
this
examine
week.
his body
Yeah,
personally.
go open up the coffin.
You got to go see if
check
his
it
wife's
out.
yeah.
Take a photo.
But like, look, I don't even want to mock that too much because atrocity propaganda.
I get
when,
it.
when
I
they
get
say
it.
babies in Ukraine got cut in half or something, I say, wow, I don't know that I believe that, especially when
No, I hear you. I get that. But I think what I'm getting at is that you can recognize that those things exist, and I'm just saying it does not apply here.
it's tough here because there seems to be a lot of witnesses that you can talk to that corroborate things. Now, again, I haven't talked to them, but it's just, you're right, much harder to do
Yeah.
in such an environment.
And it's easy to prove. Go. They've said where the funeral's going to be. Go to it.
Yeah,
go
right.
prove it. Go get the proof.
yeah.
Tell me that the funeral was canceled or that no, you know what I mean? Get me the proof.
Yeah. Dig up, exhume
Yeah.
dig it up,
Right.
open up the.
But it's not
Yeah,
impossible
you find
to
a
get.
piece of Trump's ear in there is all you'll
Yeah,
find.
right. Yeah.
Another theory I've seen, which it's got to be more than he knows about WWE. Therefore, nothing he ever he can never be involved in a real event because
Right.
he's been in fake WWE stuff before.
I mean,
Another one is,
politics, but politics is the same thing.
Yeah.
It's they're already doing it, guys. We've already used the analogy of WWE and politicians. We've always used that analogy.
right. And I'm not even putting it past Trump to like stage some sort of event. I
Dude,
think he
they're
staged
all
plenty of
acting
events
up there.
before. Yeah.
100%.
But I would agree here that I don't believe. But again, it doesn't matter what I believe. It matters what you can prove.
What you can prove, exactly.
Only Dave says I can believe that Trump. I can believe that Trump would be okay with innocent people being killed. I don't know if you meant to say could or couldn't. The hype can be more. Yeah. The theory is that he was trying to be more popular, which I don't know. That's not a good motivation because he already is leading.
popular?
He didn't.
Yeah.
Really need that. Another one I heard is, well, it's weird that he wanted to put his shoes back on, and then the argument is, if it were me, I would just want to get out of there, and I would never show my face and raise
You
my
don't
fist. I'm like,
know. You don't know what you would do if it was you.
exactly.
You have no clue what you would do if it was you.
And that's not considering what I brought up earlier.
Why don't we test this? We'll get everyone to stand there. We'll shoot part of your ear off. and
Yeah, we'll
see
get
if
the
you
same
yell, "Where are
FBI
my
agent
shoes?" Yeah.
who did it. But to subjectively say, well, I wouldn't do that, therefore nobody would do that,
Yeah, you don't
and not
know.
consider the impact of him giving that assurance to that crowd.
Right.
To say like that's just, people are thinking very subjectively, and that's not evidence
Yeah.
of anything. That's just indulging
Yeah.
your confirmation bias.
Sure,
And
sure.
something about the shoes falling off being weird. I guess as somebody who's never watched the NBA or done anything physical. I mean, the shoes fall off in the NBA and the NFL all the time. There's nothing
Yeah.
weird.
And plus, he's probably wearing loafers.
Yeah, well, no.
know.
So, TT, the hundreds of
I don't
phones pointed at the stage, you're absolutely right. We talked about this earlier. Now, I agree. There's a whole lot of stuff, questions that have
Yes.
not been answered yet. And
That's
and
right.
And I'm open to any of that footage showing otherwise. I like I said, I'm not committed to any position on this. I don't know what happened. Neither does anybody who wasn't
Right.
there. But all those phones are evidence. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they're being looked at by the FBI. And honestly, a lot of it will probably get wiped, and we might not know the answers to a lot of those questions.
I'd have to imagine someone went to their iCloud backup and got the video, right?
Well, those people will be killed, Ian. Yeah, no, it is good. And the people. So I heard some other things saying, why wasn't everybody running out of there? Because, like I said earlier, it's a crime
Yeah.
scene. They're not going to let you leave. I've been to one of these rallies. You can't just exactly
But you know,
get the hell
these
out
are
of
good.
there.
But it's good to ask every question like this. But I do
completely
think
agree.
I think that's a plausible answer, and I would go, yeah, that makes sense.
So here's the thing: if we have a basis for evaluating things like this, and our response is that we think it's fake and all staged, or our response is that we believe it 100%, no questions asked. Either way, the best way to prevent ourselves from getting manipulated, in my opinion, is not to only look for ways to satisfy those conclusions because the evidence we gather that way is going to have a lot of blind spots because we'll ignore the other things, and it's going to do no persuading of anybody else who looks differently. If, however, we say, okay, I know that this was my instant conclusion, therefore I'm going to pretend to be someone who completely disagrees with me, and I'm going to try and disprove my own theory at harder than the other side would, then here's what happens. If you're correct, you find actual evidence that will persuade people to show that you are correct.
Sure.
And if you're wrong, you will get closer to the truth. This is how the CIA analyzes stuff. If you read the CIA intelligence manual, that is the exact model of analysis that they do.
Yeah, I mean, it's also the burden of proof is on you if this is what your theory is.
Yeah. I say, I wonder about the live streaming too. I agree with that, TT.
Yeah, that's true.
I've looked for some of that stuff too, and yeah, there's no doubt questions that need to be answered. I just think conspiracy theorists of all shapes and colors and sizes, the more thorough we are and the more we resist jumping to the instant conclusion that our urges and instincts, which have been cultivated by the fact that they lie to us all the time, the more we resist that, the more we create a barrier and a shield from them being able to call us crazy, because it's so easy to jump on. I fall into this trap where I have these wild conspiracies about things. I say, wait a minute, I need to be able to prove this at the court of law standard. And that way, anybody who says you're a crazy nut, I can pick them apart. But right now, the evidence that I've seen presented has many, many blind spots in it. The photo of the alleged gun thing is another one people are showing. You know what I'm talking about, with the bullet?
Oh yeah, the zipping through the air.
It's like a once in a billion shot, they say, of the photograph. But all the people saying that are just making numbers up. I also don't. Yeah, go ahead.
Digital camera. Here's the big difference between cameras now and cameras from 1990. Cameras now, they're all digital, and they just take hundreds of pictures. They go. That's how they're taking pictures.
Yeah, they continue to take it. So
that's how they do it.
I've heard the theory that it has to be on a tripod. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. I've heard a comparison of a person who captured a photo of a bullet using a different kind of camera in a controlled environment, that it took them like thousands of photos, and yet that same person who presented that did not present the actual explanation from the photographer. And I found a Reddit forum of professional combat photographers, not even talking about this.
Okay.
I found one just talking about capturing bullets and stuff in wartime photography anyway, and I found another one that did focus on this, and these people were actually calculating the frame rates and the percentages of capturing that photo based on the number of photographers there, what the person who took it put that their settings were, and the camera that was being used. And what they found was the estimation, and of course all of these people could be wrong, but the evidence presented by these professional photographers who do this combat photography for a living, who know how to get the angle, people think you have to stop and pose to get a shot. Like, you don't.
You're taking candid photos at an event like this.
Yes, you can look at NBA action shots all the time.
It's a sports photographer. That's
yes,
exactly what you're
in
using.
motion shots that look epic. So
And
these are all.
And they're going to have the right frame. They're going to have the right frame rate. They're going to have all the settings adjusted for this specific thing.
Absolutely. And so their conclusion, pretty universally, and again, I'm leaning to them because they actually show their work. And I can put a link to this Reddit forum too if you guys want to see it, versus the other people who are not photography experts. They've never done any of this work. And there's like, well, the chances of getting this shot, if it were like a couple people, are about 6%. When you add up the number of people there and all the cameras and being taking photos of it, then it goes like upward. I think the highest estimation was 35, 40%, to the point where it was like, yeah, if you're taking enough photos, this is a plausible shot. And also, what nobody tells you is that hasn't been confirmed to be the actual bullet in the photo.
It's just a bullet, right?
The conclusion is that if that is not the bullet, I'm not sure what it is. That's what an FBI analysis said. Of course, the FBI does lie. Another conclusion by somebody who claimed they say is an expert says it was like I can't remember what he called it, but not the bullet, but kind of the chemtrail.
Oh, the chemtrail of the bullet. Well, I thought
bullet.
that's the chemtrail of the bullet. No, huh?
Yes, TT, the guy who caught the photo of the bullet was the same photographer that got Bush hearing the second tower. And I've seen a couple people present that as evidence too. This guy, he is the best he's like the Michael Jordan. He's been doing this for 40 years, and his job is literally presidential photographer. That's his job. So when I heard the question, why would he be there taking Bush's photo? Because his job is to follow the president around and take photos of him. That's been his only job for the past 40 years. So that's why he was there to take the Bush photo. It's nothing out of the ordinary. He's been the guy, the go-to on that. And so and I'm not trying to discredit and say that image isn't when I saw that, I didn't know what it was.
I didn't know what it is either. I was like, oh, that's what a bullet looks like?
Yeah, and again, they haven't actually confirmed that that's the bullet. So that we're not even and people jump to these conclusions, and we haven't even confirmed that yet.
Okay.
It's not some of these things that are seemingly out of the ordinary for people who aren't in the industries actually aren't when you look into it. As another example, just to give an example away from this, is there was a story about San Bernardino a while ago, and somebody I know was saying this is definitely a false flag. And it may have been a false flag. I wasn't even disagreeing with the conclusion. There was a lot of evidence that I thought agreed with it. But the main piece of evidence this person was putting forward was, I know it's a false flag because I saw a photo of the suspected terrorist on the ground with his head blown off, or not his head blown off, but he was shot in the head, and he was handcuffed behind his back. So therefore, the cops handcuffed him behind his back, and then they killed him. And my first question to that was, what's the protocol for police officers in a situation like that?
They have to handcuff the body, even if they don't.
They have to and I looked it up, and I found the exact training manual.
Yes.
And it said, regardless, you're not the medical examiner as a police officer. The medical examiner determines death. Therefore, even if his head's blown off, it is protocol to handcuff the body behind the back. And it's just questions saying, wait a minute, what do I not know that might actually fill in some of the blanks here? Because if you don't do that, every police officer listening to you when you're making this theory goes, okay, this person doesn't know what they're talking about.
Right. And at least be open to, to having your mind changed when it comes to stuff like that.
Right. And I hate sounding like somebody who's not a conspiracy theorist right now, but I just want to be a good conspiracy theorist.
Look, the term conspiracies, it shouldn't have a negative connotation.
Well, it doesn't anymore because leftists are now conspiracy theorists.
Right, so. I know. But it shouldn't have a negative connotation. It's true. Conspiracies exist. They're everywhere.
Absolutely. I mean, all the time. I think almost everything legitimately is a conspiracy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never thought I would be someone who has doubts about the moon landing now. And I can't believe I'm fucking saying that. But I've seen enough now to go, all right, well.
Yeah, dude.
So I'm in they landed on the moon, but Kubrick shot the shit we saw.
Yeah, right.
I'm kind of in that world because I have to be. But that's it. I've seen enough evidence to at least get there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just, when it comes to that stuff, I have definitely a lot of questions about all of that. And,
I'll go to the moon. I'm just going to go to the fucking moon and prove it to myself. I'm going to go to that guy's funeral first, and then I'm going to the moon.
We gotta go check the, we gotta go exhume the body, and then we're going to head up to the moon.
Take him to the moon.
We'll take your car.
Yeah.
We could get into flat Earth and all that too, but maybe we'll do that on
Weekend at Bernie's 3 on the moon.
Did you see that story of that woman who, I don't know how she knew the guy, but this guy was dead, and her friend were taking him around to ATMs, and it was like I think it was in another country. It was like a thumbprint, and they were just taking all of his money. So you could see the guy in the wheelchair, and she's holding him up, pulling his thumb on the ATM machine, and then she lets him go, and his body just. They were weekend at Bernie's, this guy, and she was dressed like a hot slut too, and he was old as hell, dude. It was like, what is wrong with this woman? And she took the money out of the ATM, stuffed it in her bra. At least put it in your purse, lady.
I haven't led a amazing, I haven't had great luck in life all the time, but at least I'm not living that life.
I mean, that is just like, some women think they can get away with anything, dude. It does make people furious. You're right. See, I don't get mad about any of this
I don't get
stuff,
mad about it, but
people do.
I'm not there at all. I'm not there at all, but I'll listen to you.
People were really like, a lot of the people who were saying it staged are on the left, but in the alternative media community, there's kind of a divide over it. Where some people are kind of like, how dare you question it? While others are like, well, you question everything else. Why not this? And I agree with that position.
Sure.
But thus far, I also agree with the other position that I think it was real, but I'm not mad about anybody,
right,
presenting evidence and asking questions. So
sure.
I think that maybe
this is where I get along with flat Earth people. We both agree that lizards live underground.
Right, Middle Earth.
Middle Earth.
Yes,
okay.
Yeah, they just think that the lizards are controlling us, and you probably think they're just little tiny lizards.
In Antarctica, right now, there's a whole alien race. I'm not even kidding. I lean definitely
Antarctica, man.
The Antarctica civilization is real.
Antarctica, that is the fact that they don't let civilians go there, and there's a lot to Antarctica. What's up, Grumpy? It's really wild. Like, not to go too deep into it, but you remember the Titan submersible story, the one that imploded? I mean, everybody on that thing was a lifelong, except the guy had his kid with him, so not necessarily him.
Sad. That was very sad.
They all had been lifelong seekers of like alien life. That's what they did. And the guy who built it had many quotes where he said he believed the UFOs are in the ocean. And the thing was built by NASA. They did help him build it. They gave him a model that they were actually trying to build so that they could use on a planet called Titan.
Okay.
Because it had similar oceans, and they needed to have something they could transport under there that could endure the conditions that they expected to be in that ocean. And I'm like, so they're just testing to see something they could take up to another planet and look. And these guys are willingly, because maybe they think there's aliens. But one of the guys on there I think it was a guy who was piloting. Maybe not that guy. It was one of the guys.
Well,
he created the first business class airline to Antarctica, and he took Buzz Aldrin to Antarctica twice. For the first time he took him there, he got really sick, and that's when Buzz Aldrin tweeted that real weird tweet about there's like dark things up here and shit.
Well, so here's what I don't want to. We're gonna go off. All right, I'll do real quick. Here's what I really believe. I'm not sure we can say they're aliens. I will say this: the technology is alien to us, but I do believe it's human. I do believe that there is a group of scientists. The technology that our secret government actually has is probably 50 to 100 years farther ahead than anything we've ever imagined.
I agree.
And that's what they're hiding from us.
The shit they have, dude.
And I think at some point, they're just going to wipe most of us out.
We're probably both surrounded by gay FBI agents just wanking it right now in invisibility cloaks.
Oh yeah, right now, right
now, dude. That's not like a gnat. That's invisible jizz splattering all over your face.
Yeah, because if you could turn invisible, you couldn't handle that power.
Nobody could. And you know what you'd do if you were one of the first to do it is you'd make sure that nobody else had access to that technology.
Yeah. You ever see that Kevin Bacon movie?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking about.
You know what I think is so stupid about that movie? The beginning, when they're in the laboratory and they're all just they're injecting the gorilla. Remember, they inject the gorilla with the serum, and then the gorilla goes invisible and breaks its restraints and starts running around the lab destroying it. Yeah. And fucking Kevin Bacon and maybe it's Josh Brolin, they're just like chilling out, like joking, like, guess we gotta go get the invisible gorilla. An angry gorilla I could see is bad enough. Now you're going to say it's an invisible angry gorilla, and I'm in a closed environment with it. I'd be shitting my pants.
Right. I love that becoming invisible made it stronger, so that it could even.
It's
break
my
it.
favorite bad movie because it's like, oh, it's not really there. I
re-
love it.
yeah.
It's the cheapest special effect.
It's a memorable movie too, because just that, it puts in your mind about what. I mean, there are invisibility things that you can buy that kind of reflect light and stuff. Of course, it's not. You can't sneak into shower. You can't be like, let me get into my daughter's shower like Joe when she says no.
Right.
But you're right about that technology, man. I like to go look at the DARPA website sometimes just to see the latest stuff that they put out, like the cognitive.
They're trying to become gods. I'm not kidding, man.
Totally.
That's what they're trying to do.
TT says we have the Nephilim pretending to be aliens so they can pretend to be our friends. That's, I think that we just know so fucking little about what's actually going on, to be honest with you. We
They
could
stole
very
the
well.
tech from gnomes. I think they stole the tech from Mystery Babylon.
Yeah, that is a fun subject. But if you got a few more minutes, Ian, I have some of these clips from the Biden interview. I wanted to just see how the toning down of the rhetoric was going. I thought we could evaluate that because I feel like Joe's probably, he's going to tone it down. Don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, he's probably, of course.
All right, let's see. Let's see how he does here. Let me find a good place to start. Start here around 53. I think he'll tone it down. I'll leave the subtitles on there.
Real quick. One of the things that's been fun to watch for me, watching like Karine Jean-Pierre and watching all these guys talk about this, is watching them have to reshape their magic spells that they can't use anymore. They can't just come out and say, Hitler, tyrant. They can't do it anymore because they're going to not look like decent people. It's so fun. All right, go.
All right, here we go. And I'm going to leave the subtitles up there because if there's anything Joe Biden has done during his presidency is he has defeated the subtitles.
Hell yeah.
Nobody is more perplexed.
There's no place at all for violence in politics in America. None.
Sorry, hold on. I got
place
it
at
in
all
double
for violence
speed.
in politics. No place at all. No joke, man.
Yeah, so the violence in politics, let's see. He's right about that.
There's no place at all for violence in politics in America. None. Zero. And we've reached a point where it's become too commonplace, not assassinations, but to talk about it. For example, the January 6th, the attack on the Capitol. Lester, I got in this race early on in 2020 for the 2020 race. I wasn't going to run again because I lost my son. I didn't.
Yeah.
Ding, ding.
And until I watched what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia.
Charlottesville.
Those folks coming out of the woods with torches, carrying swastikas, singing the same Nazi bile. It was accompanied by this Ku Klux Klan, and a young woman was killed. And it was a bystander.
Lester's trying so hard.
The then president was asked, what do you think? He said, they're very fine people on both sides.
Oh, they're fine people on
Fine
both
people
sides.
on both sides. No excuse.
But he didn't say
Zero.
that.
Did you see that? That was funny right there. Look,
let's talk
it
about
says both sides, 5 people, both sides, no shoes, zero. This is what I'm talking about, where he is defeated.
No shoes, zero. No shoes, zero.
So
that's how I got to work on the impersonation. Just read the subtitles.
Read
verbatim.
the subtitles. There you go. He is toning down the rhetoric by reiterating, and of course, he did not. He
Sides
intentionally.
have 5 people. That's my favorite. That is deep,
Sides
dude.
have 5 people.
Sides have 5 people. That shit is deep as hell.
That is the best. I gotta take a screenshot.
Sides have
of
5
that.
people. Okay.
Yeah, and no shoes, zero.
No shoes, zero.
Both sides, no shoes, zero.
I was never good at geometry, but I always knew that sides have 5 people, guys.
That's so great, dude. But yeah, so he intentionally does not say that Trump says there were the white nationalists are good people by saying good people on both sides. He leaves that part out because he knows he's projecting a lie that people that are just so brainwashed will hear that and say, yes, Trump said the neo-Nazis were good. I mean, this is the most debunked quote, I hate that word, but it's the lie that's ever been told that he actually ran his presidency on, and he's toning down the rhetoric by reiterating that thing that caused this environment. Jeez. What a cocksucker.
Total.
What a teenage cocksucker
and
he is.
After this interview's over, he has a staff member come over and uncross those legs because he can't do it himself.
So they have these things you put around you put around your back, and you also loop it around their back.
Yeah, to help
you
them.
help
Yep,
them
that's how you
stand
help.
up.
Yep.
When you are in a assisted living community. And you help transfer the person to however it is you're going to move them. The tiki torches were to keep the mosquitoes away and prevent malaria. They were trying to help the Africans, says TT. Oh my goodness. All right. So what's the next one here? Let's see if maybe that's just a one-off. Maybe he gets better. in
Lester
toning
Holt's
down the
face
rhetoric.
he's like, I'm trying real hard to hang on here, sir.
Dude.
I don't know what the fuck
God,
you're
some of
saying,
these clips
sir.
at the end, Biden starts getting angry at him. It's pretty funny. Let's see what he talks about
He's
right
not
here.
making any sense, man.
No, dude.
Things
least
like he
when-
says.
Oh, go ahead.
At least when Trump talks about sharks and boats, it's funny.
Did,
Remember the sharks and electric boats thing?
no, I do, because the guy that I interviewed who was brainwashed at that festival,
Brought
when
it up.
I asked him how Biden was, if
Yeah.
Biden was this guy, and if he thought it was just a cold or maybe somebody
Right.
should ask about dementia, he goes, well, maybe Trump has dementia. He talks about sharks and boats.
No, those are jokes. That's funny, is what that is.
Yeah. Yeah. No, this guy had no sense of humor, so that
Yeah,
was not going to
yeah.
register with him. All right.
Do you just not say anything because it may incite somebody?
Oh,
Look,
shit. No,
I-
actually, I went too far. That's what we needed to hear right there. Sorry. This right here is just him openly saying he's going to keep doing.
Yeah.
The conversation this has started, and it's really about language, what we say out loud and the consequences of those. You called your opponent an existential threat on a call a week ago. You said it's time to put Trump in the bullseye. There's some dispute about the context, but I think you appreciate that
I didn't say
words matter.
crosshairs. I was talking about focus on. Look, the truth of the matter was what I guess I was talking about at the time was
To pause it real quick, he keeps his hands up there for a very uncomfortable amount of time too, like he's about to choke his daughter before he comes.
Yeah. I wish someone would throw a ball at him.
Josh said he's eating a invisible sandwich.
there was very little focus on Trump's agenda.
Yeah, the term is bullseye.
It was a mistake to use the word. I didn't say crosshairs. I meant bullseye. I meant focus on him. Focus on what he's doing.
Now he's jerking Mike Obama off with that.
Focus on his policies. Focus on the number of lies he told in the debate. Focus. I mean, there's a whole range of things that look. I'm not the guy that said I want to be a dictator on day one. I'm not the guy that refused to accept the outcome of the election. I'm not the guy who said that wouldn't accept the outcome of this election automatically. You can't only love your country when you win. And so the focus was on what he's saying.
He's
and,
telling more
I mean, the
lies.
idea.
But have you taken a step back and done a little soul searching on things that you may have said that could incite people who are not balanced?
Well, I don't think, look,
This is interesting.
how do you talk about the threat to democracy, which is real,
Wow.
when a president says things like he says? Do you just not say anything because it may incite somebody?
I mean, that feels like he's really toning down the rhetoric, right?
It
there,
really
doesn't it?
does. I think he turned it down from super fucking high to just super high.
Just just a little bit, just a little 450
Just a
on the
little.
oven.
He's basically saying, "Look, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry." Okay.
That's exactly what he's saying. Am I supposed to not point out that he is Hitler
We
just
have-
because somebody might try and kill Hitler?
We're too close to the election. This is what we've been doing now.
No,
we can't
no, let
change.
me eat my invisible sandwich again.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is a banana. You're right. There's a couple more. Let's see here. Look at his. You're right, dude. So
you
this also, the way Lester handles this interview, tells me that they're going to pick back up the effort to try and get him out that they
Oh, yeah.
suspended for a bit.
Oh yeah.
Before, the idea of saying that I didn't win the election, when every court in the land,
Lie.
every court in the
This
land,
is a
I don't know, 20
lie.
appeals said, and including this conservative Supreme Court, said we won. The idea of having
That's a blatant
loyalty
lie.
pledge from all the folks who are in the
Yeah.
Republican MAGA,
So the
not all
conservative
Republicans,
Supreme
the
Court is right then, but they're not right when they overturn Roe v. Wade.
Yeah, but those court cases he's talking about, a lot of them are ones that Dana in the chats is familiar with them. Garland Favorito in Georgia that they brought that they were not dismissed on the merits. They were dismissed because the judges didn't want to deal with it, and they got rid of them on a process thing or something, a technical way. Because when you go to law school and you become a lawyer, you learn. Like, you get an F on your paper when you start law school if you have the font wrong in your legal brief, because it can be thrown out based on the font, based on the spacing, if the comma's wrong, and that gives them an out for any case they don't want to deal with. And that is the type of thing that most of these court cases were thrown out on. And he's been talking this propaganda point that it was evaluated and found his way, when it's just total bullshit.
They found it on a technicality.
Totally.
And that's what's so funny is that I think a lot of people with the Trump trials were seeing how the court system can actually be used as technicalities against you. They can find anybody guilty.
Yep. I think it's funny that,
and I think that's why he gained a lot of black support, because I think a lot of
dude.
I think a lot of black people saw that and were like, "See, we fucking told you, it's fucked up."
It's a great point, man.
Yeah,
it's a great point, and I forgot what I was gonna say. We'll just play it. So I just did anyway, and then we'll play the next one.
Anyway, so he does this whenever he's got to bail out. He says, "The idea that," or anyways. That's
I'm
when
just
he gives
so
up.
exhausted from.
Anyways, is when his train of thought just like went off a cliff.
Yeah, he started.
He just does that. Anyways,
like, yeah, Ashley, come help me, baby.
Because there's a heightened notion that when you say there's nothing wrong with going to the Capitol, breaking in,
He never said that.
threatening
This is
people.
just like hanging out with someone who's super stoned. That's all Joe Biden is. He's just hanging out with someone who's really stoned.
And so he brings up in a minute the 28 lies that Trump told, which he said was 50 the other day.
Oh, okay.
And
More
why
lies
do you
than
think
ever told in any presidential debate. Oh, so we admit that there's
28 lies? Yeah.
Yeah.
He's told. We haven't even watched this whole thing, just bits and pieces. Like 8 or 9 lies.
Sure, but it's
in
not
this.
as many, and that's where all his rabid supporters live. Is they live in this world where, like, yes, he's racist, but he's not as racist as Trump. Yes, he's a liar, but he's not nearly the liar your guy is.
Right. And he's yes, he's got dementia, but Hitler.
And how do you do that? Yeah. Anyways, go ahead.
Couple cops dying.
Oh yeah, there's another lie. The cops dying.
Nope.
Breaking in, threatening people. A couple cops dying.
Toning down the rhetoric.
Hanging up, putting up a.
So he just accused Trump of killing police officers on January 6th. And toning down the rhetoric.
Right. These people wanted Trump to get on a horse in a Border Patrol uniform with a whip and go get all the rioters out of there. Is that would that have been satisfactory?
Right. Yeah. Just the black ones. Just use the whip on the black ones. He would have wanted them.
And apparently all of his supporters latch on to every word that he said. But why, when he said go home, you know, why didn't they listen?
That's when they say "F you, Trump."
That's when they say "F you, Trump."
I'm no longer listening. But that was a dog whistle. That just make go harder.
Yeah. Because everyone who was at the Capitol probably had their noses in their phones, and they probably brought their TVs with them.
New text from Trump. Orders are in.
Guys, orders are in.
Yeah, they charge forward. Yeah. So
have you seen, like, you know about how the cops opened fire with tear gas? The Capitol Police opened fire with tear gas, and they were standing downwind. Do you know this?
I am not from. I don't remember the details of that.
So yeah, they opened fire on the crowd. I remember, one of the Capitol Police said, "We're just creating zombies down there," because they were shooting rubber bullets down at the crowd.
Yeah.
Right. Before anyone broke in, they were shooting rubber bullets. Then they started
knocking
firing
80-year-olds down.
Yeah. Then they started firing tear gas at the crowd, get them all pissed off. But then the tear gas goes downwind, and they have to abandon their position. And the crowd sees them running. So what do? They surged. They ran in, and that's really where shit started popping.
That
off.
provokes and is pretty well studied.
That's when shit started
that
popping off, and people started walking around the Capitol.
Yeah, dude. They know too what they've had enough experience, especially in Summer of Love, and I mean, for decades actually, of how crowds respond to that type of activity. Is it provokes the mass action.
I am willing to believe that the guys, the Capitol Police, that were the boots on the ground, probably were just lackeys that got set up.
Oh, I agree with that, dude.
Right. I mean, they weren't in on it. They don't pull people it doesn't work. because you have to believe the lie.
And with the split version of reality that people see, most people don't realize that the majority of the people that were there were chilling and hanging out. They were old people and
They're
Asians.
suburban moms and dads. These are people that you see at Waffle House every Saturday.
I saw a lot of they were following. Yeah, I'm gonna violently insurrect inside the ropes on the red
Fucking
carpet
break.
here,
So stupid.
very calmly. But
stupid.
he killed police officers.
Noose and gallows for the former vice president.
So what he said, he's saying that Trump put up a noose and gallows. Trump ordered us to bring out the noose and gallows for the vice president, or to build it. And right there on the spot,
Right.
Trump threw the wood down. Build me a gallows and noose for Mike Pence.
Nobody knows. This is one of the mysteries around the Gallo picture. Nobody knows who built it. Nobody saw anybody built it. Nobody knows who built it.
Trump and Barron, I think.
Right. In their time
Right.
machine.
Right, it's probably Nancy Pelosi.
Well, that's
who
how
built it.
Trump, if you want to, it's the time travel theory that Trump is a time traveler. You know this, right?
I don't know the Trump time travel theory.
Oh, yeah, man. Well, because there's the adventures of Barron Trump. And anyways, and John Trump, his uncle, was involved with Nikolai Tesla's
the Tesla stuff. He got
the looking glass stuff, right?
He got all the papers.
So Trump has looking glass technology. And that, my friend, is
It was
how he knew to
passed
dodge the
down.
bullet.
It said he got it when Tesla died, and it's been passed down through the Trump family.
Yeah.
And Barron's going to get it. And I don't know if you saw the meme of Barron just standing with like a kind of disgruntled face, his giant ass, and the text is
Barron's
after
gonna
the
kill all
shooting.
of us, isn't
It said Barron will never forget.
Yeah, Barron is going to kill all of us.
The Nephilim child of Trump. Let's see, is that where that went into?
You know, do you ever see Excalibur?
No, I don't think so.
Oh man, it's a classic movie. You got to watch it. I'm not going to even go into it. Anyways, the people who know Morgan Le Fay and King Arthur's son with the golden mask, that's sometimes what Barron reminds me of, is that actor.
Oh yeah,
Anyways.
yeah. He looked Trump as a kid looked just like him, just not near as tall. How does it even? I mean, I don't know how that works because Trump is tall, Melania is tall, but neither one of them are fucking Barron tall.
Oh yeah, well that's that. What is she again? She's not Ukrainian. She's
She's Slavic. I don't know.
she's Slavic. That's the tallest white people on the planet over there, man.
They should
Holy
do
moly.
They should have a bathing suit contest between her and
Yeah.
Jill, and we could have America judge, and I bet they'd make it look like Jill won, just for showing her truth.
Yeah.
And somehow and then you say you're going to forgive people for that? You're going to pardon them? That was just a normal response? That is not. I have my entire career
Everything he made up.
voted against and railed against and moved against the idea of violence is never appropriate. Never, 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 never in politics.
All right, I want to
Choke
ask you
the
about
violence out of you.
Right.
Choke all the violence out of you, America.
Absolutely. And so these are my favorite final clips here. This is when he starts getting testy with Lester.
It's past bedtime, dude.
Oh shit, dude! You gotta go to bed.
No. It's past Biden's bedtime.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no.
I'm
Biden.
I'm in
he,
for it, man. I
Biden is
I
very
gotta get up
sharp.
tomorrow.
Oh,
I
you got to
gotta
work
get up-
tomorrow. I hear
No,
you.
man.
I'm hoping we might have a guest here in a minute, but I know he's very busy tonight and he's been on a phone call. But he's going to try and join us. I don't want to ruin the surprise if he gets
I
here.
hired a binary person, a cisgender binary person, and it's working out.
I'm happy. So Ian had hired a trans person.
Just to prove to everyone that I'm non-judgmental, and this person
And-
was qualified.
And then the next day after hiring him, he was like, God, this person's terrible. I got to
No,
fire
then
them.
they called in sick. At day 2, they called in sick. And then on day 3, they asked for their job. Then on day 3, they quit. And then on day 4, they asked for the job back. It's ridiculous.
And now you're in a lawsuit for like harassment.
I'll tell you, man, after I did it, after I made the move, I was like, Ian, what the fuck are you trying to prove? It reminds me, because this is where I get it from my mother. My mother was such a saint that she got us into trouble all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
It's so
just
funny.
like, I'm not going to get
And
into
then
it.
he hired another person, and he goes, because we've been talking about, when Ian to go to Washington, me and Josh, we had to work and other events, and he's like, no, I hired somebody else. It's a white guy, cis. I'm like, all right, dude.
He's working out just fine. Even though I think he's a liberal. That's fine.
Oh God. All right. Well, here's Biden getting a little pissed off at.
Unite NATO, you're able to deal in foreign policy. Why don't you just decide to rest on those laurels? And the answer is because the job's not finished.
Do you feel like you've weathered the storm on this issue of whether you should be on the ticket or not?
Look, 14 million people voted for me to be the nominee,
There was no other
the
choice
Democratic Party.
in the primaries.
Okay?
Yeah.
I listen to them.
Yeah.
In your last TV interview, you were asked if you had watched the debate, and your answer was, I don't think so, no. Have you since seen it?
I've seen pieces of it. I've not watched the whole debate.
And the reason I ask, because I guess the question is, are you all on the same page? Are you seeing what they saw, which was moments of, frankly, that appeared to be, you appeared to be confused?
Lester, look, why don't you guys ever talk about the 28 lies he told?
They do all the time.
Where
I know.
were we
Right.
on this? Why didn't the press ever talk about that? 28
Don't get violent,
times
Joe.
it's confirmed
Don't get violent,
he
Joe.
lied in that
Tone it
debate.
down. Tone
So
it down.
for those just listening, Joe is doing his lean in whisper
Yeah.
to Lester Holt right now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's his best Johnson. He's a fucking cocksucker.
Is there anybody who's like going, the 28 lies? I've never heard about that.
He wishes he was Lyndon Johnson. He tries to emulate him all the time. You know, Lyndon, if you ever look at photos of Lyndon Johnson that he took, he's always standing, looking, and staring down at whoever he's taking a photo with. He was such a cocksucker.
Was he tall?
He was
Yes,
very
probably
tall. He was very tall. He was an asshole as well.
Yeah, he was a little actually racist, I think, if you read some of his documents. And I think he might have been happy that Kennedy was offed.
Yeah, well, he did it.
It's just, you know, I don't, maybe Trump knows something about his VP pick that many of us don't know and can't tell by his history. But it just feels like, yeah, this is a guy who, you know, might be ordering the next shooting. I don't get it. Vivek, I know Vivek has his issues, but would have been better. I would have liked Donald's. I think that he could have picked like some like really wild card, like Jose Canseco, or just some like off the wall figure.
Just or just have a lottery. Have a reality show.
that'd be fun.
Where you pick like one average American to be your vice president.
And we all and the day we get the job is the day we are in charge of the border crisis.
Okay, on today's competition, you all have to do your impersonation of me.
That's the best one. Can you handle the border crisis?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that'd be a great show. Just one average American gets to be his vice president.
That would be great, dude.
I had a bad night.
Yeah, you did.
I wasn't feeling well at all.
Dirty
And
boy.
I had been, without it making it, I screwed up. But if you-
I just asked the question because the idea that you may or may not have seen what some of these other folks have seen, you're not on the same.
I'd have to see I was there.
I don't know that you were,
I'd
Joe.
have to see it. I was there. And by the way, seriously, you won't answer the question, but why didn't the press talk about all the lies he told? I haven't heard anything about that.
We have reported many of the issues that
No,
came up
you
during that
haven't.
debate.
He's
No, you
turning
haven't.
into
We'll
he's
provide you
turning
with
into
them.
everything he
God
hates.
love you.
Right. It's just so God loved you. I mean, this here is just either proof that he's just completely gone, senile, or that he is the ultimate gaslighter.
Look at that face.
That's a wild Joker, crazy man face.
He looks a little like Prince Charles with that face.
That
Well, King
dude,
Charles, I guess.
He's incestual with his family members a lot, like the
Look
Charles.
at that. That face is. We're
It's creepy
getting
and
out,
evil,
We're
dude.
gonna party tonight.
Yeah. It's no. Is there anybody who sees this and says he's right about that, and says, you know, he's right. They should have talked about it. Maybe they do because they rationalize it, but the reality, from an objective perspective, is they haven't talked about the
His
media.
his base will just go. That's right. They haven't talked about it enough.
Right. They've talked about it equally because they cannot bring up Biden's problems without.
Yeah, he's wearing a 5-minute
qualifying
mask.
it.
Apocryphal world records. I
might
believe that
be.
is a 5-minute CIA mask.
Dude, check this out. I did a show with Grimerica the other day, and I did not know about this theory, but there's a theory that some have that they believe that Joe Biden is actually Jim Carrey in a Joe Biden mask.
Funny. I told you what my theory is that Joe Biden's body double also went retarded too. And now they don't have anyone else.
They both
and they're
have
stuck with
dementia.
two retarded. They got a retarded president and a retarded body double, and they don't know how to figure it out.
And but now Ashley's got to shower with both of
Now
them.
Ashley's got to shower with both of them.
And Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
Right.
Hunter's like, why don't I get a
I
body
know Hunter's
double?
still crying and
I
jacking
want
off
a
in the
body
corner.
double.
Come on, Dad. Just give me a yeah. Hunter's been harassing Jim Carrey to shower with him for decades. All right, last one here where he gets a little more testy. Then we can wrap this baby up.
God, I wish he would just try to slap Lester.
Dude.
Grab Lester.
Or just he just get real, like Joe Biden thinks racist thoughts. Dude, good night, Grumpy.
I wish Lester would go, hey, calm down, man.
Yeah, I mean, Lester is very much talking to him like he's a doctor or a nurse.
He's
trying to
take the keys away from Grandpa.
Exactly.
You can't drive anymore, Grandpa. Give us the keys.
You have to stop going into Martha's room at 3 a.m. in the old folks' home.
Over 84 years. It's a legitimate question to ask.
I want to ask you about, just shortly before you and I sat down, former President Trump named his vice presidential pick, J.D. Vance. What does that tell you, his qualities, what does that tell you about former President Trump's values in terms of who he will surround himself with in a next administration should he win?
Well, it's not unusual. He's going to surround himself with people who agree completely with him. Have a voting record. I support him. Even though if you go back and listen to the things J.D. Vance said about Trump.
Well, he said some things about you, yeah.
Oh, no, well, he said something about me, but see what he said about Trump. What's with you guys? Come on, man.
You're not working for me anymore.
The point I'm making is that
What's with you guys? Come on, man. He got one in.
Vance has adopted the same policies. No exceptions on abortion, making sure that he
not
supports
true.
the new $5 trillion tax cut that Trump wants to give in the next administration. Signing on to the whole notion of whether
I
or
think
not
this whole thing is WWE.
He says there's no
this
climate
whole fucking interview. I think the whole interview is WWE.
From the journalist standpoint or from Joe's standpoint?
Both. I think they're both in it together. Watching this, I'm like, no, they're just pretending him getting tough with the media because they've done some focus group, and focus groups have said, well, that's what they like about Trump.
They do want to. I did hear some commentary about this where they were like, they saw Joe get tough with the media. And that's to me, it's gaslighting because what they see as a dementia patient blatantly lying,
wearing bronzer,
and destroying to the death the subtitles.
Change is happening. I mean, he signed on to the Trump agenda, which he should if he's running with Trump.
Mr. Trump has said he's giving you a chance to redeem yourself. Basically, the idea of engaging in another debate.
We're going to have another debate.
Yeah, you're going to have one in September. That's
Did he
on
say
the
we're
books.
not?
Would you be?
I think he said we're not going to. He said yes. So Biden thinks that Trump might be scared to debate him. Has been his position.
You open to doing one in the next few weeks?
I'm going to debate him when we agreed to debate.
Look, you see the subtitles. I moved to Beijing, and when we agreed to pay Henry Benjamin. That is so funny. Oh my God.
I want to make a T-shirt.
Destroying the subtitle. That'd be a great T-shirt, dude.
A side has 5 people would be a great T-shirt too.
For those listening, the subtitles right now say, I moved to Beijing and when we agreed to pay Henry Benjamin.
And I'm going to debate him in September.
But if the opportunity came up to do one between now and then, is there a sense of wanting to get back on the horse?
I'm on the horse. Where have you been? I've done 22 major events, met thousands of people, overwhelming crowds, a lot happening.
Overwhelming. 7 or 8 people.
I'm on the horse. What I'm doing is going out and demonstrating to the American people that I have command of all my faculties, that I don't need notes, I don't need teleprompter. I can go out and answer any questions at all. And I stood there when NATO was in town. I stood there for an hour.
And he did so good.
And answered questions.
He did so good.
if you were to continue to run and be
He just cited the moment when he called Zelensky Putin and then Kamala Harris Trump. Look at what I did. I proved myself.
I did it.
This is great.
officially nominated, what happens if you have another episode like we saw during the debate?
What happened to another?
Yeah, what happens if you have another performance on that on that level?
I'm not gonna.
I don't plan on having another performance on that level.
You're having one right now.
I don't
Mr.
plan for
President,
assault.
it's always good to talk to you, good to see you. Thank
So that was a fun interview.
Oh man.
I'm dying too, Aduz Lass. So the assassination attempt
Oh my God.
has given him cover to, like, if that didn't happen, an interview like this would be like, he just said he's gonna dildo the Benjamins on North Point, like,
Dude.
it's wild. Oh, the sign language lady, TT. Can you imagine the confusion there too?
Oh man.
I like this sign language. Some of them, it looks like they're dancing. There's a video of this guy at a rap. He was a rapper, and he was doing his music, and the sign language person was there, and she was like, and he thought it was just a chick dancing, and so he goes over and starts like rapping at her and dancing, and she's still doing the thing, and it took him like a minute to realize that he's like humping up on the translator.
That's great.
Yeah, dude. Well, Ian, if you want to go to bed now, then
Yeah.
I won't be mad at you. I appreciate you staying as late as you did. I was hoping we'd get our guest, but he's just, I guess, busy at the convention.
That's fine. No, that's fine. Yeah, he's probably
Um,
very busy. Very, very busy. We'll
you
have
know,
him. We'll have him back on.
I want to warn everybody about Operation Southern Slowdown. So there's going to be cops getting people in Georgia this weekend and other southern states.
Moly, did I see there are a lot of cops out today.
Oh, they're everywhere, dude. Do you want to do a quick smoking gun, or should we call it? What do you think?
Let's do a quick smoking gun, then we'll get out of here.
Yeah, we'll do one. Quick smoking gun. I love the smoking gun. I should get that. That's a contest. Is Mr. Beast should get all of these smoking gun people who've been arrested and have some sort of contest on, who can masturbate in public the most in the shortest period of time. Which I didn't know that. Like I imagine the gas stations in Florida is just nothing but shirtless people masturbating.
Man, there's a lot of sketchy gas stations in Florida.
It does give Florida a bad name because
You know what
Florida
Jiffy
allows
Feet are?
you.
You know what Jiffy Feet are?
No.
Jiffy Feet are after you've been walking through the parking lot of the Jiffy Mart with no shoes on.
Oh God.
And the soles of your feet have all the black on it. Those are called Jiffy Feet.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
You got you some Jiffy Feet, boy.
yeah. Florida gets a bad name because they allow these records to be public while other states don't.
Yeah, I know.
That's why we get all these fun stories. So, this headline here is in Key West: let hair down, not your pants. Cops, woman 35 arrested for vigorous public performance. I love the use of vigorous right there. This was sure, let your hair down in Key West. Your pants, not so much. A 35-year-old woman you can see on screen there is behind bars after police spotted her vigorously pleasuring herself in public, according to a report detailing the alleged lewd act. In response to an eyewitness report, officers were dispatched to a local park. Reference a male that was passed out with his pants down. Oh, the report referenced that. Upon arrival at Bayview Park around 6:30 a.m., an early morning diddle, I guess, officers realized the subject lying on the ground behind the statue of Jose Marti, the Cuban independence leader, was actually a woman. A member of the public flagged down cops to report that they witnessed the woman with her pants down, rubbing her genitalia. A similar sighting was reported by Officer Frank Beds, who told a fellow cop that he watched the suspect vigorously stimulating herself. So he decided, you know what, I better watch this for a little while before I tell anybody.
You got to make sure. This is when you turn into a detective.
Because what if she was only mildly stimulating herself?
You need, and you probably need to think of the right word. What's the word? It's on the tip of my tongue.
It's got to be vigorous. It's got to be vigorously. I mean, it sounds
vigorously.
It sounds like he might have been, mildly stimulating himself.
Sounds like he's shaking up salad dressing.
The report does not indicate how long the officer observed the solo crime being committed.
Long enough for him to get off.
Right, yeah, I can knock one out. Police identified the woman as Teresa Dunlavey, an Oklahoma native. She says she must have driven to Florida to vigorously, it's everybody's dream, stimulate themselves behind that statue. And her address is listed as the streets of Key West, of course. When a cop approached Dunleavy, she was pulling her pants up, and she said she had no idea why police were called to the park, which is in the center of Key West. And I have to say, if you've ever been to Key West, I have no idea why the police were called either. Because Key West often has naked people. Well, they have a parade every year
Key West
with a bunch
is
of naked
crazy.
people. I've been to.
It doesn't
yeah.
even feel like you're in America.
It's a really weird place. They have
fucking
a bar.
It's crazier than New Orleans.
Dude, they have the nude bars there, which before you go to a nude bar when you're young, you're like, oh shit,
Yeah.
let me go see some chicks. But what you get is, oh shit, I'm sitting next to two butt naked truckers.
It's wild.
Really wild. And it goes on to finish up the story by saying charged with indecent exposure, a misdemeanor. So even though it was vigorous, it was just a misdemeanor. So good for her. Dunleavy was booked into the county jail where she is being held on $5,000 bond, and she's scheduled to be arraigned on 28 pages. Maybe it was worth. If it was vigorous, it might have been worth it.
That's true.
Where are you supposed to do this if you live on the streets of Key West? Is what I ask.
Yeah. But, I mean, a statue, what's she harming?
Yeah, you got to break into somebody's house to get one off.
Yeah.
I don't
People
know.
just need to
I'm with
mind
her.
their own business.
I stand with her.
Yeah.
Well, Ian, thank you for joining, man.
Of course,
I
man.
enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was super fun, as always. Glad we got to have a few laughs.
Yeah, at Joe Biden's expense. And I'd like to see your commemorative ear cover
Yeah,
solidarity
well,
next time.
We're gonna get those. We're getting the marketing team working on that.
Yeah, I wonder if people are selling, because there's been a lot of products. Obviously, everybody's capitalizing on the product.
Yeah,
of,
but
some
no
people are
one's
selling
thought
their
of the ear
tickets.
thing. Nobody's thought of the ear thing.
I don't think
did.
that anybody has, dude.
Yeah, I'm gonna get on that. Everyone's gonna be wearing ear covers in solidarity. It's gonna be the new thing, dude.
You could package the shoes with a gold ear cover.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And I think it was the keychain ear. It's going to be interesting to see what happens next, and Trump's speech coming up. So we'll find out. Thanks for hanging out in the chats, guys. No, the chick that got nutted on, did Obama sign language lady get a new job? Is that the chick that got nutted on?
No,
I think
saw
she's
that
the
video.
one.
Oh my god, that was a horrible.
Poor
girl.
Yes. All right. We'll see you guys next time. What's up, Hawk IT? Check out Hawk IT Media. I was a guest on his show earlier today. We had a great conversation. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me on, Hawk. And we'll see you guys next time. Have a fantastic rest of your day.
Hey Siri, call Brad Binkley.